Good afternoon and welcome to Joy Newsroom. We're coming to you live from our studios here at Kukumlimli. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safo. In the next 60 minutes, automobile dealers of Ghana announced 15% reduction in vehicle prices following what it says is the relative stability of the Ghana cedi against the US dollar and the abolition of the COVID-19 levy. Also coming up, Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection urges public to stop sharing footage of Ghanaian women recorded without their consent more as Ghanaian authorities begin extradition procedures against the man identified as a Russian national, allegedly over his act of secretly recording the women and circulating the footage online without their permission. And in our climate evidence series today, we'll tell you how Ghanaian farmers are collectively charting survival strategies against a climate that no longer follows familiar patterns in the Asiedu Central District. Remember, we are your home of independent, fearless, incredible journalism. Please stay for details. Thanks for choosing us. This afternoon, the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Agnes Namomolate, is urging the public to stop sharing footage of Ghanaian women recorded without their consent by a man believed to be a Russian national. She made these comments to journalists on the sidelines of the AU summit in Ethiopia. We'll hear from her shortly, but first, the government has initiated processes to extradite the Ghanaian Russian accused of secretly recording and distributing videos of Ghanaian women without their consent and subsequently publishing the videos online, reportedly for financial gain. Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation, Samuel Nate George, says authorities will pursue the suspect through diplomatic and legal channels to ensure he faces prosecution in Ghana under cybersecurity laws.
The Cybersecurity Authority is one of the agencies under my ministry, and I'm sure leading up to the Christmas, you guys saw the clampdown we did on cybercrime and fraud and all of that. Part of what we do is also to deal with sextortion and child online protection. In this instance, I'm sure you're referencing the Russian gentleman who came into the country. Yesterday, I caused the ministry to send an invitation to the Russian ambassador. I intend to see him this week and have a conversation with him. We're taking a very strong view of it. The individuals involved are not minors. None of them is a minor. They're grown-up adults who made decisions. What the Cybersecurity Authority is interested in, and my ministry is interested in, is not in the moral judgment of the individuals. It's in the non-consensual sharing of the videos that were posted online. That is a crime. It's not a crime to be able to convince a man or a woman to go into your room with you in 6 minutes. That's not a crime by the law. That's a personal decision to make. But it is a crime to record a person without their consent. And even when you record and keep it on your phone, and the person finds out and reports to us, we will prosecute you and you go to jail. That's the law of the land. Now, you don't just record it, but you go and post it on a website for financial gain. That gentleman will be looked for. We will activate every resource in our disposal, working with Interpol. The way we've worked with Interpol to extradite Ghanaians to other jurisdictions, we will request the Russian authorities, and that's why I've invited the Russian ambassador, to work with our law enforcement. We want the gentleman to come to Ghana, to be brought back to Ghana, extradited to Ghana, for him to face the rigors of our law.
Well, we can now hear from the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Agnes Namu-Molatey, who is urging the public to stop sharing the footage of the Ghanaian women recorded without their consent.
What has happened is very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate, and it is heartbreaking. I will tell Ghanaians that it might have happened to these girls today, but if we don't take pragmatic steps to stop it, it can reoccur. And so I will urge us to stop sharing the pictures and the videos. It is not good. You might think that it is fun sharing it, but from where I sit, people can lose their lives because of that. Their entire future can be wiped away because of that. I will plead with us. People fall, but the good thing is that they gather the courage to rise again. Let's give these people the opportunity to rise. On the side of the ministry, we are collaborating with all the security agencies to ensure that we pull down and then bring the perpetrator to book. I can't say everything out here, but some few steps I have had some discussions with my brother, Sam George, and he's going to work with his agencies. We've also issued a statement, and I think one of the communication agencies have also issued a statement. And so we are going to work together to ensure that this doesn't reoccur, and then we also make sure that there's enough support for those who are falling victims to this.
Away from that, the Automobile Dealers Union of Ghana has announced a 15% reduction in vehicle prices following the relative stability of the Ghana cedi against the US dollar and the abolition of the COVID-19 levy. In a statement issued in Accra on Sunday, February 15, 2026, the union said the price adjustment is in line with its earlier commitment to members to review vehicle prices downward once the exchange rate showed signs of stability. According to the union, the reduction reflects its long-standing promise that any meaningful stability of the exchange rate will translate into fair vehicle prices rather than excess profiteering. Well, that statement is coming up on your screens right now, and later we'll also be joined by the national president of the union as we look at what influenced this 15% reduction. And there you have it on your screens. They are officially informing the general public that in line with their earlier commitment, they have reduced vehicle prices by an average of 15% following the relative stability of the Ghanaian cedi against the US dollar, as well as the abolition of the COVID-19 levy. Well, this decisive action, they say, reflects the union's long-standing promise to Ghanaians that any meaningful stabilization of the exchange rate will translate into fairer vehicle pricing rather than excess profiteering. Over the past months, they state the cost of vehicles in Ghana was significantly impacted by exchange rate volatility, high import duties, shipping costs, and global supply chain pressures. During this period, they state that the association consistently assured the public that once the exchange rate showed signs of stability, vehicle prices will be reviewed downward. With the recent improvement and relative consistency in the exchange rate environment, our members have honored that promise by adjusting prices across a wide range of vehicles, including the brand new vehicles, hybrid, electric, and home use vehicles. And that's the last paragraph of that statement. They go on to thank Ghanaians for their patience, trust, and confidence in the automobile trade industry. Well, let's delve into it. Right now, join me now is the National President of the Automobile Dealers Union of Ghana, Eric Kweku Boateng. We appreciate your time here on the Joy News channel. 15% reduction, what influenced this percentage? How did you calculate it?
Thank you very much. And I want to say a very big thank you to the National Executive of Automobile Dealers Union, and also a very big thank you going out to you and your charity and listeners as well. Now, the President of the Republic of Ghana actually made a promise that he is going to stabilize the tariff treated.
Mr. Eric, you may have to position rightly so that I can hear you clearly, and if you could project your voice for me. You were just making your point there. Please try again, and let's try to hear you clearly this time.
Okay. Is it much better now?
Still, I'm hearing some interruption in your voice, but if we can try, probably you could change your positioning, and we can try once more, and then we just look at why indeed you decided to settle on 15% with a reduction of prices.
Okay. Thank you very much once again for this opportunity on joining. And I want to say a very big thank you going out to you and your cherished viewers and your cherished listeners as well who are right now. So the President of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, actually made a promise that he is actually going to help the currency stabilize once he takes office. And that is a promise that he made to Ghanaian traders. And from 2025, he took the mantle as the President of the country. He has actually delivered. And as we speak now, the city has now dropped from 17 cities to 10 cities and a few pesos. And last year, before the end of the year, we came up with a release that if the currency stabilizes over a period of time, we are going to reduce the price of our vehicles so that Ghanaians can be able to afford vehicles in Ghana and have the joy to drive, their dream car. And God being so good, the National Executive of Automobile Dealers Union met to have a conversation around it, and we decided that we are going to reduce by 10%. And also, there was another promise that was made by the President that he will scrap the COVID levy. And in January, he also made that effort to also scrap the COVID levy, which has actually helped our businesses in terms of our income. And looking at all these that the government has done and is still doing to help traders, we can see that we enjoy the provision one. Ghanaian businesses, Ghanaian individuals who want to buy cars will have to get the benefit of the reduction of the exchange rate. So we have made a promise to Ghanaians that we are going to reduce our prices. That is exactly what we have done, and we have come up with this release that with effect from today, we have reduced our vehicle price by 15%.
But why 15%? That's what I was asking. Why not 20 or 25%? What calculation went into this percentage reduction?
So the calculation that actually went into this reduction is the fact that we are still reading the terrain of how the currency will go in the next few months. So currently we are standing at this rate, that is the 15%. If the city stabilizes over a period of time, or probably if the city comes down a little bit more, probably we can consider maybe that percentage that you have actually mentioned. So we are still within the market to see how the currency will project. So that's exactly why we actually came to this conclusion that we are reducing our cars to 15%. We are having a reduction of 15%.
So should we expect further reductions if the city continues to maintain the stabilization we're seeing?
So if the city continues to maintain this way, we will still engage with authorities so that we can be able to see if we can have further reduction. Maybe we can maintain the same price as well.
But how do you plan to ensure enforcement?
So we have our over 85 associations that are together, from the Automobile Dealers Union of Ghana. So it might not be that other associations might also reduce their prices. This is a release from the Automobile Dealers Union. We have our members across the country. As we speak now, we have about 8 chapters in the country, from Accra, Manchester, Takoradi, and other parts of the country, including the North Impact as well. So we have our members who have agreed to this reduction that we have. So maybe a customer may go to a garage that might not be, who might not be a member of ADAG. That is not our matter. We are looking at our members reducing the price of their vehicles to 15%.
Thank you so much for your time here on Joy News. Well, away from that, President John Dramani Mahama says that Ghana will discontinue its dependence on external financing to purchase cocoa, stressing that the nation possesses the financial capacity and institutional framework to independently support its cocoa sector. Speaking at the Accra Reset Addis Reckoning event in Addis Ababa, President John Dramani Mahama stated that his administration intends to phase out the long-standing use of foreign credit facilities for buying cocoa beans from farmers. He explained that the government will instead raise funds domestically through bonds.
We're going to stop foreign funding for the purchase of our cocoa. We are going to raise domestic bonds. We have enough CDs in Ghana to pay for our cocoa. We're going to raise domestic bonds, buy our own cocoa. We don't need to collateralize the beans. I know the interesting part. We have the capacity to process 400,000 tons of those beans, processing capacity in Ghana. But because the beans are collateralized, we cannot even allocate those beans to the local processors. We have to ship all the beans outside. Now, if we buy the beans ourselves, we can take 400,000 tons out of the beans and give to our local processors to add value. That is what the Accra Reset is about. I say by 2030, there are not going to be any raw mineral ores leaving Ghana. You're not going to ship manganese ores out of Ghana raw. You're not going to ship bauxite ore out of Ghana raw. You're not going to ship iron ore out of Ghana raw. You must process all that locally. That is the only way we can provide opportunities for our young people. Our young people are not as patient as our generation. They want to see that progress and prosperity today. And that is why Accra Reset has that urgency that we need to implement in order that we stop our young people from braving the dangers of the Sahara and the Mediterranean to try to get to Europe to look for opportunity. Africa's prosperity is not a threat to anybody in this world. Africa's prosperity will consolidate world prosperity, and it will be a positive for this world, not a threat. And so we want to thank Barros Chapman for those kind words. El-Haj C spoke on behalf of our stakeholders, and we're happy that they are sacrificing their time and effort to join this great movement to create prosperity for Africa.
Well, Ghanaian farmers are collectively charting survival strategies against a climate that no longer follows familiar patterns. In the Asin Central District of the Central Region, some farmers gather not just to discuss yields and prices, but how to safeguard their livelihoods from the increasingly unpredictable weather conditions. On Climate Evidence today, my colleague Asiedu Nketia reports on how agriculture cooperatives can turn sheer vulnerability into collective resilience.
The critical challenge is a climatic change. That is the most critical challenge we had.
Samuel Toby owns a 17-acre cocoa farm bordering a forest reserve. In good years, his farm produces about 300 bags of cocoa, enough to support his household. After more than 20 years in cocoa production, he says farming has remained his economic backbone. Yet, climate change now poses the greater threat to that stability.
When we start planting cocoa, we started somewhere from March. That is where you need to plant the cocoa. It meets with a dry season. If you are not lucky, the cocoa can die. So that is why when you are doing such a business, you need to nurse another cocoa in the farm. So supposing this one dies, then you have to replace it immediately. So it is a climatic change that is our main problem in the cocoa farming.
Across Ghana, Climate variability is rewriting the rules of farming. According to the Ghana Meteorological Agency, average temperatures have increased by about 1 degree Celsius over the past 30 years, while rainfall has become increasingly erratic. The World Bank estimates that climate change could reduce Ghana's agricultural productivity by up to 7% by 2050 if adaptation measures are not scaled up. This poses a direct threat to smallholder farmers. Dr. Victor Owusu, a senior lecturer at the University of Education, Winneba, whose research focuses on agrarian food systems and livelihood resilience, describes climate change as a planning nightmare for farmers.
Predicting the onset of the rainfall is becoming difficult, and intermittently, temperatures are also very high. So making planning for farming activities very difficult. And this is where the local cooperatives comes in.
Agricultural cooperatives are emerging as a quiet but powerful force in Ghana's climate response. Once viewed primarily as vehicles for market access and bargaining power, cooperatives are increasingly functioning as hubs for climate-smart agriculture, information sharing, and risk management. In Asenfosu, change began with targeted training sessions supported by the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, the Ghana Cocoa Board, and local NGOs. Farmers were introduced to climate-smart agriculture practices such as mulching, crop rotation, shade tree integration, improved seed selection, composting, and rainwater harvesting. Abdulrahman Ayitu Tete, the Pruning, Irrigation and Cocoa Management System Coordinator at the Cocoa Health and Extension Division of Cocoa Board, describes cooperatives as essential allies in reaching farmers efficiently.
The climate has changed due to the weather and then everything. It is reducing production and then even affecting our well-being. So we have to manage the system. We have to get plants that can withstand disease, pests, and then even plant more trees so that the direct sunlight, it can protect. You know, cocoa is a tree that naturally like shade. So without the shade, the cocoa tree will not do well. So we encourage them to do more planting and to stop destroying the already existing plants. And then two, they should not do more or new farms, but the ones that they have, we should rather maintain it so that we can maximize production from the farm.
The Asenfosu Cooperative has 72 active members, meeting monthly to review production data, welfare concerns, and business performance. Special farmer business schools provide hands-on training in climate-smart practices.
We advise. You see, normally, we told them cutting down of trees is affecting our cocoa. When you are farmer, you say, oh, this is my farm, this tree is planted by myself, so that I can use it to plant, you are destroying the cocoa. So we advise them the benefit that we had from planting trees in the farm, providing shade, supporting the climate for the cocoa. Cocoa needs a good shade and rainfall.
Experts say cooperatives are central to scaling climate adaptation across the country. According to Dr. Victor Owusu, for decades, agricultural governance in Ghana has largely followed a top-down model, limiting local participation in policy design and implementation.
We've realized that the top-down approach towards dissemination of information such as climate change, availability of subsidies for farmers, including fishers, there is a big gap, communication gap. Most of the information or the intended materials do not get to the people who are supposed to be using this information and other materials for their work, to benefit their welfare. So gradually, we are moving towards a bottom-up approach where government and other agencies are now recognizing the importance of empowering local cooperatives to also be actively involved in the management and governance of our agriculture food value chains.
Ghana's updated nationally determined contributions and the climate resilience and green economy strategy explicitly recognize farmer-based organizations as key actors in adaptation and mitigation efforts. However, challenges remain. Access to climate finance, long-term technical support, and research partnerships continue to constrain cooperative growth. Dr. Owusu says empowering farmer-based organizations and local cooperatives will get them all involved in the management of the food value chain, especially in taking interest in climate change and its ramifications on the local agricultural sector.
Agricultural sector or the primary sector is directly under the mercy of climate change because you talk about farming, they depend on the mercies of the weather, the rainfall and the temperature. You talk about the fishing, it's also the same. So information dissemination is very important when we're talking about climate change and climate information, so that these farmers will be able to use this information for their planting season and other relevant, important information that will help them to sustain their various businesses.
Back in Asimfosu, farmers are determined to keep production going irrespective of the weather.
At times, farmers lose hope about the pruning, the massive pruning, the irrigations, and other things also help a lot. So we benefit at all.
As climate change tightens its grip on Ghana's food systems, one lesson is becoming increasingly clear. Resilience is not built solely through technology or central policies, but through empowered communities working collectively. Kofi Edudomfe reporting for Climate Evidence.
This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDKN Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from Claire R4I Opportunities Fund.
Well, we're just speaking some information. Let's run you through it. This is coming straight from the Interior Ministry. It's coming up on your screens right now. It says the government of Ghana has received disturbing information from Burkina Faso of a truck carrying tomato traders from Ghana, which was caught in a terrorist attack in Titao, the Burkina Faso suburb, on Saturday, 14th of February, 2026. The Ghana Embassy in Burkina Faso is liaising with the officials of Burkina Faso to visit the attack site for details and identification of Ghanaians caught in the attack. They say further details will be communicated to the public, and that's signed by the Minister Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak. We'll be giving you details of that and more here on the Joy News channel as we're making our checks to get more information. We'll also touch base with our regional correspondent who's also making some checks on the ground. Away from that, some cocoa farmers in Doma Central Municipality say the government's recent reduction in the cocoa producer price could ultimately serve the long-term interest of the industry, while they acknowledge that the cut will affect their income projections and livelihood. The farmers believe that if it ensures prompt and consistent payment for their produce without further delays, the decision must be justified. They say they are prepared to support the move in the short term, with the expectation that prices will be reviewed and upward adjustments made once economic conditions improve. Correspondent Precious Semevo has more in the following report.
Cocoa farming remains a major source of income for thousands of Ghanaians, particularly in the cocoa growing communities. But following the government's decision to reduce the producer price for the remainder of the season from 3,625 Ghana cedis to 2,587 Ghana cedis per bag after months of delayed payments, reactions among farmers have been mixed. In the Doma Central Municipality of the Bono region, some farmers, including Kweku Mensah at Asenso No. 1, admit the situation is dire, but insist that while the reduction will impact their earnings, they are choosing to view the decision from what they describe as in the interest of the national economy, considering the support enjoyed from the government.
It's a problem, but what the finance minister said was that reducing the price will help them buying and paying for the ones they take from us. the ones they've already picked, they are going to pay the old price. But the subsequent ones from today going, those are the ones they are reducing the price. At least we've heard from our neighbors, neighboring countries, some are around 2,300. So at least we know we are somehow better than them. We've been giving fertilizers this year. We've been giving chemicals to spray and a lot. So we are grateful.
Mr. Mensah, who is also a teacher, admits the price cut has disrupted their financial projections. However, he is urging the government to restructure the cocoa sector and consider reviewing producer price upward if conditions improve.
As the price has come down at the world market, we are hoping and praying that someday to come the price will increase. And we will plead on the government that should in case the price increases, they should also try and increase the price for us. For now, we know he is not in to spoil the economy. No, not that. So whatever decision they are taking, we know is in our interest. So we understand that this is a temporary issue. So we'll bear with them and we hope for the better in the near future.
Precious Semevo, Joy News, Kwame Suya.
All of them. Okay, please. Well, away from that, the national chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Asiedu Nketia, has blamed the ongoing challenges in the cocoa sector on financial mismanagement by the previous administration. Speaking during his thank you tour in the Upper Dentra West constituency in the Central region, he told party supporters and traditional leaders that despite the former government securing a loan to purchase 800,000 tons of cocoa for the 2023-24 cocoa season, only slightly 400,000 tons were bought, while the full loan amount was used. He further accused the previous administration of using cocoa bonds to raise additional funds from local banks, but failing to meet repayment obligations later on.
NPP ministers near the idea of the back cocoa bottom one, a dear better key over. Now, cocoa water or more crack.
The sacks used for storing cocoa seedlings are imported every year. After realizing that this could become a means of exploiting the system, some NPP officials allegedly awarded contracts to party affiliates and imported far more sacks than were actually needed. By the time we assumed office, the quantity of sacks imported was so excessive that it could last the country for nearly 10 years. As the board chairman of the Ghana Ports, I can confirm that a significant number of cocoa sacks remain uncleared at the port. These sacks have a limited lifespan and can be stored and cannot be stored indefinitely. When they are left there for too long, the government eventually confiscates them and they are reportedly distributed to women within the party.
NPP party and Master Bonkoton, Amon Piscabrai party. Entinanum, Asama Daho Yasin. A fay take you, Winnie Abano. Ah, yeah, Jay, handing over, Tama, handing over. And now Mudimirica. Obia Womusu said, oh, yeah, MPP. Ewo Ghana ha enuma bebree mu ne akyerɛ mun promote wɔn na mun to wɔn akatua mun promote na mun dɔbɔ wɔn akatua mun promote wɔn sɛ te sɛ Bank of Ghana wɔn de bebree gugu wɔn koraa.
Additionally, after losing the elections, the previous administration promoted several NPP representatives across various institutions. Currently, the wage bill for cocoa board staff exceeds the amount spent on purchasing cocoa.
Into Case, O sign a chair, that a coyas. And don't say, and you might have four cocoa board in hot. One more door, and you would the time see one more country. Sika, I did just a country, and change, I had the top cocoa.
You're still watching Joy Newsroom. We'll be back after this quick turn. Please stay with us. On your screens, there are live visuals from UPSA Auditorium, where the New Patriotic Party are currently about to start their Thanksgiving service. This is the service they're holding immediately after the election of their flag bearer for the party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, after the MPP primaries. Let's take you there live. My colleague Ken and Jesse is there for us. I will take you back there when they officially commenced the Thanksgiving service and also bring you the speech that will be read by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. Away from that, the Electricity Company of Ghana in the Ashanti region, West Operation, is strengthening efforts to clamp down on illegal power connection after recouping over 4.3 million cedis from 2,200 customers in 2025. The illegal connections were discovered during a day and night monitoring exercise, which saw the revenue protection team of the company visit some 8,182 customers, including hotels, restaurants, and households. This exercise forms part of the power distribution company's broader efforts to reduce commercial losses through power theft across its operational areas and gather enough revenue to sustain the electricity supply chain in the country. Benjamin Obeng-Entry is a PRO for ECG in the Ashanti West region.
Last year, we visited more than 8,000 customers, be it households, restaurants, and pubs, and we were to search out some 2,300 customers to the tune of 5.3 million Ghana cedis. As we speak, we've been able to recover some 4.3 million Ghana cedis. You first of all give them a bill, and then some pay outright, others we schedule the payment. So as we speak, we've been able to recoup some 4.3 million Ghana cedis from the customers that we surcharged. Nonetheless, there are plans in place to recover the remaining amount that we surcharged last year. And what we noticed last year was that some customers who are even owing ECG will go for these illegal meters and then remove their ECG meters, replace those meters with the illegal meters that they've gone for. So last year we were able to apprehend some of them and we were able to build them accordingly to recover those units. So this year the strategy is such that we'll wage war against the illegal or fake meters in the Ashanti region as well, whereby some individuals bring a meter and then take it to the various communities, go in there, sell to people without recourse to ECG, and then these people end up consuming power illegally as well, because once the meters are not coming from ECG, these meters are installed on the blind side of ECG.
The power distribution company has also debunked claims of a return of Thompson, citing recent power outages witnessed in the Greater Accra and Greater Kumasi metropolis to technical challenges.
Last year, we visited more than 8,000 customers, be it households, restaurants, and pubs, and we were to search out some 2,300 customers to the tune of 5.3 million Ghana cedis. As we speak, we've been able to recover some 4.3 million Ghana cedis. You first of all give them a bill, and then some pay outright, others we schedule the payments. So as we speak, we've been able to recoup some 4.3 million Ghana cedis from the customers that we surcharged. Nonetheless, there are plans in place to recover the remaining amount that we surcharged last year. And what we noticed last year was that some customers who are even owing ECG will go for these illegal meters and then remove their ECG meters, replace those meters with the illegal meters that they've gone for. So last year we were able to apprehend some of them and we were able to build them accordingly to recover those units. So this year the strategy is such that we'll wage war against the illegal or fake meters in the Ashanti region as well, whereby some individuals bring a meter and then take it to the various communities, go in there, sell to people without recourse to ECG, and then these people end up consuming power illegally as well, because once the meters are not coming from ECG, these meters are installed on the blind side of ECG.
Away from that, from overheated classrooms to aging structures, students are actually pushing for more for government to do for them at St. Thomas Aquinas Senior High School, because they continue to learn under difficult conditions. These challenges took center stage during the school's 2026 Speech and Prize Giving Day in Accra, where students and staff appealed to government and stakeholders for improved conditions of working as well as studying. There's more in the following report.
Despite its long-standing reputation since 1952, St. Thomas Aquinas SHS struggles with inadequate facilities. Overcrowded classrooms, limited funds, and intense heat continue to disrupt teaching and learning. The headmaster, George Appiah, is urging government to convert the school into a boarding facility to ease the burden on students who commute long distances daily.
The school continues to operate without a befitting assembly hall. Major school gatherings are often held under challenging conditions like this one. An assembly hall remains a pressing need for academic, religious, and social functions. Many of our students travel from Kaswa, Dodowa, Tema, and other distant communities. Some leave home as early as 5 a.m. and yet arrive after 9 a.m. This pattern is affecting punctuality concentration, and overall academic performance. We therefore appeal to the government and relevant stakeholders to give serious consideration to converting St. Thomas Aquinas Senior High School into a boarding institution.
For students like Moshood Emmanuel, who is the overall best Form 1 student, and teachers such as Esperance Chenyukwo, who was honored as the overall best teacher, the lack of chairs and fans remains a major setback, forcing some students outside classrooms just to cope with the heat.
Our classrooms, we don't have fans over there, and most of the students, when they come and we are teaching, they don't feel comfortable, that they end up sitting outside because of the heat in the classrooms. Also, our classroom blocks, because it's the old type of classroom blocks, sometimes they don't feel so much comfortable there.
Chairs in the classroom. Some students, due to this, some students are required to stand and then for the whole lesson, and that is bad. And so yes, chairs and tables are also some important things we need in the school.
Also present was the Deputy Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs and MP for Ladadi Kotopom, Rita Na Soa, who pledged government support, including the construction of an assembly hall and the donation of 10 ceiling fans.
I'm deeply pursuing the construction of the assembly hall for St. Thomas Aquinas Senior High School. So, with the appeal, Mr. Headmaster, I will donate 10 ceiling fans to support you.
The ceremony ended with awards for outstanding students and staff, alongside a call for stronger parental involvement through the PTA.
Away from that, government has reiterated its commitment to reducing Ghana's housing deficit by strengthening collaboration with private sector developers. Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, Gisela Tete-Agbutui, gave the assurance at the launch of the Puna high-rise development by Val Real Estate Ghana. There's more in the following report.
Speaking at the launch, the Deputy Minister for Works and Housing said government recognizes the growing demand for affordable and quality housing, particularly in urban areas, and will continue to create an enabling environment for private developments to thrive.
Housing is not merely about providing shelter. It's about preserving dignity, ensuring security, safeguarding health, and strengthening productivity. It forms the foundation of stable communities and resilient economies. The vibrant housing sector is also a powerful driver of economic growth. It creates jobs across the entire value chain, from design and construction to materials manufacturing, financing, property management, and urban services. It stimulates local industries and deepens investment confidence. As Accra continues to experience rapid urbanization, our response must be deliberate and forward-looking. And Puna is forward-looking. The answer to population growth is not uncontrolled sprawl, but planned, sustainable, and efficient development. Vertical housing solutions such as Puna help to optimize land use, integrate services, and support well-connected urban ecosystems. Government remains firmly committed to addressing Ghana's housing deficit through strategic reforms and partnerships.
At the event, representatives of Val Real Estate Ghana told Joy Business that the Puna development reflects the company's commitment to modern, secure, and accessible housing.
We established Val Real Estate 4 years ago in Ghana, Val in Ghana. Val is an international company working in Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and the head office in Istanbul. So since 4 years now we are in Ghana. Today, this night, we are launching the our seventh project in Ghana, in Accra, which is Puna Airport West.
Government says it will continue to support initiatives that expand access to decent and affordable housing through collaboration with the private sector.
And that's how I wrap up the bulletin. Up next is the law with Samson Ladiayeni. Please take the details.